The Turkish presidency's spokesperson, Ibrahim Kalin, as well as other Turkish leaders, namely the Prime Minister and President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, that the primary objective of this military campaign is national security. But the reality is that it's likely to bring Turkey face to face with one of its important and strategic NATO allies, and that is the United States. That's because of the country's continued support for the YPG. And to talk about the dynamics and the stressed relations between these two countries, I'm now joined by Murat Aslan. He's a lecturer at Hasan Kalyoncu University. Murat, thank you for joining us here on TRT World. Let's start off with the strained relations. The latest chapter, we saw the United States express its desire to train tens of thousands of troops along Turkey's border. Now, at the start of this operation dubbed Olive Branch, how do you see relations panning out between these two countries?
Okay. I think we should first analyze the ultimate goals of the countries, political goals of the countries, because the United States is in a desire to build a kind of area that they can easily control radicalism in the Middle East, because they perceive radical Islam as a threat. And for that reason, they preferred a Marxist-Leninist terror organization to cooperate. And by that way, they can create an area that they can check Syria, Iraq, and to some extent Turkey. That means the U.S. is focused on a political agenda rather than building a Syrian stability in the region.
So what you're saying is that the United States is not for the political and territorial unity of Syria?
This is what I believe, because they have established an area that is totally not linked with Syrian regime. And it's obvious that they will try to build an area that is independent and also autonomous for the coming term. This is what I believe. Otherwise, think that they have transported 5,000 vehicles full of ammunition and weapons, and also many equipment that is adequate to build a huge army for a state actor. That means they are not to survive, or they are not to defend themselves, but to attack maybe. For whom and when, it's not clear.
Do you see a difference in the American policy in terms of the YPG, specifically in the area, the enclave of Afrin? Because that's detached to most of the other parts of the YPG-controlled elements in Syria.
Well, first of all, the United States is aware of what YPG is. They are totally linked with PKK and a terror organization. And I do not believe that Daesh is not the main cause of this partnership in the region. And that's why the United States is playing time to build a huge organization that they can easily balance other powers in Syria. So their main focus is not Syria, but their political agenda. This is what I believe.
Okay. And finally, I want to ask you, in terms of what can happen in the United Nations, we know that France has called for an emergency session. The Turkish Foreign Ministry is in close talks with their French counterparts, looking at the dynamics of the Security Council, where countries like Russia, the United States, and France are all represented. What type of outcome do you expect from this emergency meeting that's been called by France?
Well, Minister of Foreign Affairs of France announced that they called United Nations Security Council to discuss what the humanitarian situation will be, and they requested Turkey to brief the council. I do not expect a harsh criticism or a harsh decision against Turkey's action. And furthermore, Turkey negotiated with Russia, member of this council, with veto power, and also informed France before, which means I do not expect a challenging decision after this council.
Murat Aslan, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World.